So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and tonight I'm joined by the band Cursor, especially two members from the band. I have Luke and Josh with me, and we're here to talk about the new album that's coming out, the debut album that's coming out in May called Apparitions. So, first of all, guys, how are you tonight?
Great. How you doing, Hector? Thanks so much for having us, man.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
thanks for having us.
Yeah, so we were talking offline that you guys have been following my channel, I think, since like the first month, because I had you on Instagram and I'm like, hey, I have this channel, but at that moment you only had the EP. You're like, yeah, when we put music. So almost 3 years later, I finally have you here for an interview. So for people that don't know Cursor, I would describe them as an alternative rock band. You guys are from Virginia, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Nice. So I know that you put out an EP in 2020 that I remember I really enjoyed that EP, and that's how I discovered the band. I had a musician from Puerto Rico that I think shared the band, and I listened to it. I'm like, oh yeah, this sounds cool because it's got like that. It's like rock, but also like I got reminded like a band like Fries, for example,
Yeah.
with some of like the melodies and the music. So for people that don't know the band, I know that Luke, you sing and play guitar, and Josh, you're the other guitar player, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So tell us, a little bit about how the history of the band, how Cursor got together.
Sure. Well, I can kick it off, and Josh, feel free to jump in whenever you want, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was in another band, and we were kind of we got done making a record, and I was sitting on some songs, and I wanted to, get those songs done. And at the time, I was living with a buddy of mine, and he played bass. And then I was like, hey man, would you like to play bass on some of these tunes? And I was talking to a buddy of mine that I knew I'd been in a band with previously. He was a drummer, and we got together and started working on some tunes and kind of fleshing out those ideas. And then we played one show as a three-piece, and it was kind of like it wasn't it. I felt like I needed some reinforcement. So I've known Josh since high school. We go way back, and
Yeah.
the drummer at the time was still in contact with Josh, and we all got together and jammed, and it was awesome, and we really hit it off, and that chemistry was there. And then some changes happened. We ended up getting a new bassist, and then we kind of did that for a little bit, and then some things kind of changed a little bit. We got one more drummer, but that's kind of how bands work sometimes. Sometimes it's like that, kind of process of finding the right group of guys where that chemistry is correct. And with Pharaohs, I was really stoked on Pharaohs. I think we made a really great EP. And with Apparitions, we have a little bit, we have a new lineup, but Josh and I have been pretty consistent since the beginning. So we are the OGs in a lot of ways. But now we have a good friend. If you want to talk a little bit about it, Josh, like you and Randy go way back, right? Like high school.
So we had a band in high school, and Luke, he had a band in high school, and they were kind of looked up to as like, that band in school. And we all were kind of like, man, if we could play a show with them, that'd be dope and stuff. So it ended up happening and working out that way, and friendships kind of kicked off. And then, Randy went off to college and things happened. And just as of recent and over the past year, so Randy and I have gotten back in touch, and we needed a bass player, and he was on board. So all things full circle, I suppose.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I remember listening to Pharaohs when in 2020 that came out, because sometimes the streaming services put some, like, it says December 31st, 2020. I'm like,
yeah, I did. Yeah, we I don't look in retrospect, I don't know if it was the best marketing move, but I thought it'd be cool to drop something on New Year's Eve. So I was like, let's do that. So yeah, it did come out on New Year's Eve of I guess 2020 on in 2021. And oddly enough, I think it was around that same time Josh and I were writing Resolution, what was one of the singles we dropped for Apparitions, and that is a song that's on Apparitions. So like we already had music that was going to be on later releases, but it did come out on New Year's Eve of 2020.
of the worst year ever.
Yeah.
Dude. I feel like we kind of channeled everything from that year into those 5 songs, and it was a great experience, man. I think we learned a lot. Shout out to Keith on the drums on that record and Derek on bass. Like, they killed it, and the songs really turned out really awesome. We met a good friend who ended up mixing and producing and engineering Apparitions, Will Beasley. We met him during that process. He did Pharaohs for us. We became good friends, and we ended up winning. It's called a whammy. So a whammy is like it's like a Washington D.C. metropolitan area, like music. They call it like a musicianship, I guess they call it.
Mhm.
And they nominate bands, and we won Best Hard Rock Album of the Year with Pharaohs, which was really cool to be honored, by our local kind of scene in that way. So I think it was a good way to make the best of 2020 as best we could. I think we were all trying to figure that year out for sure.
Plus, you have now 3 solid years to work on that full album. So, how long did it take you to work on the songs that are gonna be on this on Apparitions?
Yeah, so like I was saying a little bit, resolution, like some of these songs, we were kind of set on for a little bit, but it was really interesting, this process of the record. I think it was kind of like we were really inspired, and we kind of wanted to like kind of chase that. So it's like we had some ideas, but then we tabled some ideas, and then we would get inspired by new ideas. And I think something that was really cool about Apparitions that's really unique in the way that we wrote this record was it's almost like we would take on 2 songs at a time.
Mhm.
So it's like, we would like really work on 2 songs, like demo them out like at my studio, my home studio where I am now. And we'd get those really tight, get those really stoked. And then we'd go down to Richmond and record those with Will. And then, while we were waiting on mixes and kind of the final touches for those 2 songs just recorded, we were working on the next 2. So it was like this really kind of cool kind of exercise of like, how can we top ourselves, so it was cool. So like, and then during that whole process I kind of had an idea of how I wanted the songs to flow together and kind of the interludes. And yeah, it was just a really unique way. I've never made a record that way, where it was kind of written like 2 songs at a time. But I think we all really had a solid vision on what we wanted to accomplish, and I think we did it with Apparitions.
Yeah, the album cover is quite interesting, and Apparitions, yeah, I think of like a ghost or something. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit. There's when I first sent me the album artwork and I saw it, I thought that looks like it would be like a black metal band, but then you put the pink. So tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about why Apparitions. Like, is there a story behind the album title?
Yeah, man, great question. Well, all of the EPs and the names are all kind of connected. So the first record, the reason the band is called Cursor is cursor is blinking on the screen, and it's awaiting input. So the first EP was called Seeking Connection. So that was kind of like the setting the stage. And then I think I don't have it right now, but on
Pharaohs?
Pharaohs, you'll notice on Pharaohs, there's a hooded figure that's standing at the base of
Oh
a
yeah.
pyramid, right? So it was kind of like this common kind of symbology of like ascending to the top. In Pharaohs, it was an ancient lighthouse in ancient Alexandria. It was one of the 8 wonders of the ancient world. And that was kind of like, I guess, a symbol or a metaphor for like a light in the darkness during that time of 2020. And Apparitions is like an apparition, that's like I guess a level of ascendance in some ways. So it's kind of like, you've sought connection, you found the source, right? That beacon of whatever gives you that fire inside. And now you've climbed to the summit, which would be Apparitions, and then Apparitions like Veil of Ascendance, Ghosts in Ascending Light, and the last one, which is I'm spacing, Elegy of Apotheosis. Those are all transformations that occur with like spiritual enlightenment and kind of like finding this new version of yourself. So Apparitions was kind of like the next kind of phase of kind of the journey that we've been taking as a band. And
We had correlated that with the virus that was happening at the time, right?
yeah
Yeah.
What
so
virus? I'm
What
joking.
virus?
I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about?
Which
That
one?
didn't
I haven't heard of this virus yet.
that didn't happen. No,
Yeah.
no, sir. No, so yeah, I'm trying to everyone's trying to forget that. It's been 4 years.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, so apparitions, because in the artwork there's like this menacing figure. So I was wondering, maybe they've seen some ghosts. You guys, I don't know what's up with the USA, but you got ghosts everywhere. Like
Yeah. Well,
if you watch American TV,
mhm.
like there's ghosts like in every state, every house. You're a haunted country, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there are a lot of ghosts. There's a lot of this country built on the backs of um a lot of conquest and people that have gone unnamed, and I think that's something that we need to remember as a people. But I don't know. I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know what brings that up, to be honest. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
something
and
on the consciousness, on your conscience. I don't know.
I don't know either. So when you guys, the when you're picking the album, so the color, because the color is very pink. Like, does the
Mhm.
color, why pink? Is there a reason for that?
Because it's sexy, man.
But
It's like I think that's an element of Cursor that I like heavy, beautiful, evocative music, that like pulls you in and makes you feel something. And I don't know. Pink's one of those colors, and purple pink is one of my favorite colors. So I don't know. Maybe that just kind of like came through like that. But I think
yeah.
there's definitely some vibey songs on the record for sure. So I think it definitely fits.
Yeah. So you released a new single for the song
Hmm.
Canary, or
Yeah,
Canary,
Canary.
which is
Yeah.
really good. What's the background for that song?
Yeah, go for it, Josh.
Okay. I was sitting around with some ideas on the guitar one day, and I like to put a working title to things. And I was watching a history show, and they were talking about how they would put canaries down in the coal mines to test for like toxins in the air and poisons and gases and things like that. If the bird would fall over dead, they knew to get out or stay out. And I thought that was an intriguing story of sorts to tell, and a song title perhaps. So I presented that with the workup of the guitar riffs that I wrote, and Luke took that and ran with it and made something really beautiful. So
Thanks,
Yeah.
man. Well, it was an awesome idea that Josh brought to the table, and I think that's one of the special things about him and I is we just really we work really well together and inspire one another. And I think that's why I think most musicians make music, right? Is to be inspired and have fun with their friends. So I'm definitely grateful for that. But yeah.
same.
Yeah, well, there's some musicians that do it for the money and hate and they all hate each other. But no, I don't get that vibe from you guys, that you guys hate each
No,
No, I don't think we're quite there yet.
other.
no,
No,
I'm just messing. I'm just messing.
give it a few years. No, I'm kidding.
all love.
No, I'm gonna get out for that happens.
Nice. So yeah, the song Canary, and the music video is awesome as well. So you're using, is the canary a metaphor for like death?
It's sort of like when he presented the idea to me, I just had this really like I think it was around the same time like, and I'm sorry if I get it incorrect, but I remember there being like this story where these like people got like trapped underground, and like I just thought about like how insane that would be to be like trapped underground and like in complete darkness, no light, and you don't know what's going to happen, and like that concept too of like being a miner and being down in a mine and like you look and you see this bird's like freaking out and you're like, oh my god, like how do I get out of here, you know what I mean? So that imagery just really stuck with me. And like in that first verse when I say like we're floating in this cosmic black, I was thinking about
Mhm.
like space and just being like in this like just pool of just darkness, and how crazy that would be. And then that turned into kind of the ground kind of floor, this metaphor for like kind of how we all struggle with like mental health, and we're all good, we all are fighting our demons, going through our trials and tribulations in life. And that canary then became this like beacon of hope, about like you know, we're tattered, torn, and tethered, but it's still holding us together. Like this pain of being human and emotion and feeling that we all experience. It's horrible, but it's also what being human is, and it brings us together, you know. And that idea of like being pulled out of the darkness, like I can't even imagine what those people felt like when they were pulled out of that underground cave and they saw daylight for the first time, you know, like that. I can't even imagine. So it was just my kind of attempt at trying to put myself in that headspace of like what that would feel like, and then it turned into a metaphor of like, you know, for me anyways. I try to leave lyrics as, you know, kind of vague to kind of up to interpretation for the listener, because I want them to have ownership on it too, and I want it to be like theirs, you know. But this is just my perspective of like kind of what I was inspired by, and that metaphor of canary that Josh presented me with, and kind of where my headspace was with it.
Okay, yeah, it's interesting, and you know, I think the other single that you released first was Resolution, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, we did Midnight Whistler. That was when we
Mm.
did in October, and then we did Resolution. We did that in February, and then we just dropped Canary today. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, I saw it today that you dropped it. The Midnight Whistler, yeah, that starts the album after you have like an intro, and
Mhm.
that's a cool track, the Midnight Whistler. What's the story on that one?
Yeah. So Midnight Whistler. It is. Do you know what the Midnight Whistler is? I know you're pretty hip to ghosts and up this
Here we are with America stuff again.
back with the America. But
Isn't it that like the ghost that you find like in the street? and,
no.
and tells you to be a good musician if you sell your soul to the devil or something like that.
Not quite.
Not quite. I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's
that's not what you
Crossroads.
guys did.
The Crossroad Demons.
Crossroads.
Yeah. No, it's really close though. It's really close. Midnight Whistler is what folks in Kentucky, that's like their nickname for Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Do you guys have that in Puerto Rico? Like a man, ape, Sasquatch, Bigfoot creature?
No, we have a chupacabra.
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra, yeah.
Right. I've heard of that. I've heard of that. The goat sucker, right? Is that what
Yeah,
it is?
the goat sucker. I never seen one,
Right.
thankfully.
I'm glad you haven't. But yeah, like Midnight Whistler, like I heard that term, and like I love all things spooky. I mean, like you can check out, I've got like alien figurines and all kinds of wild stuff. But
That's
yeah,
like a
really
sexy
into that.
alien figurine.
Right?
He's in the pink light, so
I'm down here in the pink light with my sexy alien. But yeah, like Midnight Whistler was a Bigfoot. It was like a kind of a nickname for Bigfoot. But the song, it kind of came from this place of kind of, again, like my perspective on it, like the headspace I was in. I wanted to write a song about what it would be like to watch mankind from the shadows, right? If there is a creature that's living in the woods and it's like mastered, you know, nature, and is like at one with nature, living its life, like, you know, it's probably looking down on people, like maybe kind of wondering, what are you guys doing? Like, you know, like you guys are
That sounds
fighting
like
these
a song
wars.
from the point of view of a stalker, man.
Right. Well, yeah. So kind of is, right? Stalking, like, you know, like the Midnight Whistler stalks from the woods, you know, and even the lyric video kind of has that kind of vibe of like, you know, stalking from the woods, but it's more of like a watching from the shadows, and like, you know, you point the finger and you say like, you know, the Midnight Whistler is the monster, but in reality, like you need to kind of look at yourself in the mirror, you know. Maybe we're the monster, you know.
yeah, because who's the one that's hunting and who's the one who's being hunted, right?
Exactly. Because, you know, so it was kind of like that juxtaposition of like kind of that, you know, and like, when will you stop hiding, you know, and like and show your face. Those kinds of lyrics kind of spoke to that. And
I just find
yeah.
it interesting that they would call a Bigfoot a midnight whistler. I would have
Yeah.
never guessed that. I would have called it like a hairy,
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
thing, but not a midnight whistler. So yeah, this is interesting. Now that is every song about an apparition of some sort? I'm sensing like a theme.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they've all got like kind of an ethereal vibe, I think. An existential kind of, you know, question that's kind of pose in each song. So yeah, I mean the record's about transformation and altered states, maybe, maybe it kind of worked its way in each song. But I wouldn't say every song's about like a creature per se.
Yeah, because you have Ghost in the Ascending Light, so that sounds like someone who's dying and is ascending to somewhere.
Yeah, so that song and the song that starts the record, Veil of Ascendance, and then Ghost in Ascending Light, and then Elegy of Apotheosis, they were the three movements that I wanted to make as kind of interludes within the record to kind of like tie it all together and kind of have this like common theme. So again, as I was talking earlier about like this being a record of transformation, it's like each time you hit an interlude, it's like the next level of the record, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's and it's got a good flow to the record. So tell us a little bit about the writing process for the band. How do you tackle the writing when you get down to it?
It takes a team for sure. Like it starts with a good solid foundation, but it's not until everyone gets their hands dirty that it really takes shape and takes form. And it usually it takes one good solid idea. Either Luke will come in with some really well worked out foundation, or I'll come in with some rinky dink foundation and he'll help solidify that a little bit and pull it together. And then the other guys will get in there and we'll just get inspired and it'll kind of take off from there.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah, and I
And
would
that's
agree
just
totally.
what I see. That's what I see anyway.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like I think that's really hitting the nail on the head. I think it's cool, like, right? Because I think we also have a really good like working relationship where we're all like kind of like we'll look at each other, and if a part isn't quite right, we'll be like, that just ain't it, So we're really it's cool like how we kind of really all check the egos at the door. And we're just trying to like service the song and make the best song we can, as a band.
Yeah, no, I think that would be the goal for every band, to make the best song possible. So for you guys right now, you're about to release this album. When you guys, when you were forming as a band, like what musicians inspired you to pick up an instrument?
Mm.
It's a long
Do you want
list.
to start, Josh?
Yeah, sure. It's a really hard one to put a finger on. I did start out with things like Nirvana, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Never heard of them.
Yeah.
Kidding.
It must be another America thing, right?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
I know. Stuff like that. I was like, I was born in '87, so the '90s were kind of my thing. So like there was a lot of grunge going on. So like grunge kind of like, planted a seed. And then I started to find heavier things like Metallica and Iron Maiden. And the Voyage kind of took off from there. Deftones, Thrice. You hit the nail on the head with Thrice because that's one of my big inspirations, like in the later years of my playing. So good call on Thrice.
Yeah, no, they're a great band. Luke, what about you? Yours.
Yeah.
Luke is like so occupied, like the lighting has to look good.
Yeah, I changed the lighting. I felt like I was too pink,
I don't know. It's the perfect like background for a strip club, man.
It's all about the vibe. That's what I think.
It's all about the vibe, yeah.
All about the vibe.
Has the vibe.
Yeah, I gotta have the vibe. The vibe ain't it. I don't know. I can't feel it. Yeah, like I don't know. It might sound kind of cheesy, but my dad, he really got me into music. My dad was a country singer, and I remember going to shows, seeing him sing when I was a little kid, and just being like, "Oh my God, like that's what I want to do." Like I want to be on stage and singing and doing that thing. And Dad turned me onto the guitar. He had a flat top guitar, like a acoustic guitar, and I picked it up and he taught me 3 chords, and I never put it down, And I would say like my first guitar player that really like inspired me was probably like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eric Clapton. I really love like blues players. I really loved that kind of style of music. I thought was like awesome. I remember when I heard like Jimi Hendrix for the first time, like that blew my mind. And then it kind of I was always like my parents, they weren't really like rock people. They were more like country music. My mom was really into like Patsy Cline and like Otis Redding and like Percy Sledge and like those kinds of vibes, so like R&B kind of stuff, like country stuff. And my dad, like he was really into like outlaw country, so like Waylon and Willie and Johnny Cash and like those kinds of influences, like Elvis, Chris Christopherson, like all that stuff. And Roy Orbison, all these things. And that was kind of like the beginning for me. And then I found rock like sort of like in the same way that Josh had mentioned. It was the '90s and it was grunge, and like I was an only child, and like my cousins were older than me, and they would turn me on to like Nirvana, Alice in Chains, and I really got into Bush as well at the time. Like my older cousins used to give me crap about Bush, and they'd be like, "Oh, they're just ripping off Nirvana and whatever." But I loved Bush, and like they just 16 Stone, like that record was like
I
everything.
It turns
Like I
30
remember,
this year.
what's that?
That album turns 30 this year.
30?
But
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
man.
I already feel old, so I can't say that makes me feel
True.
old.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I'm older
yes.
than you guys.
Yeah, but 16 Stone, man, that record was huge for me. Like, I remember like back in the day, like, I would go to like CD stores and they would sell like music tab books, and I bought like 16 Stone, the music tab book, and I brought it home, and like I learned the songs on the guitar, and I was like playing it, and I was like, oh well, that's so awesome. Like I can do this. And I think that kind of started me on that path of like experimenting and writing my own songs. And then of course like Metallica came up like for everyone, like Ride the Lightning and like Master of Puppets, and the first record, the Four Horsemen, like playing that jam, and all that kind of thrash metal stuff. And then you fall into Pantera and Maiden, and like, and then in, I remember, I think it was like 2000 is when I went to my first Deftones show. And then that was just like, probably my favorite band ever. Love that band.
So you don't have like a Gavin Rossdale statue somewhere right there, right?
No, funny enough, I don't. But I'd love to meet Gavin one day. He's fun for sure. He's
for
awesome.
for 60 years old, the damn dude is too pretty. Like
Yeah, and I thought it was so great. Like, did you see that new music video that he did for the song, where it was like he really played into that, like where he did some kind of like experimental medical treatment, and then he gets all super young, and then they're like playing the song, and then by the end of the song,
oh
like the surgery starts failing and he's like bleeding and stuff. And
yeah, that's for
it's a
they
trip.
did like a greatest hits, and they had a song for that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
actually the album cover for that greatest, it's pink as well.
Is it? Nice.
Yes. Yes.
That's
So
awesome.
so we
Yeah.
we know you have a man crush on Gavin Rossdale.
He's pretty hot for sure. No shame.
Yeah, no shame. Yeah, no, I love Bush too, and 16 Stone. It's all those. I think the 90s like influence a lot of music, and your music I can hear a lot. Because it's an alternative rock band, and what I like about your guys' music is with your singing, you can feel emotion, because sometimes in metal it's so hard that I can. Yes, it's cool, but like I like emotive lyrics and music that make you feel something. Sometimes metal, if it's just like, like yes, it's cool, but like I think with a heavy emotion, and this is an album that feels like that is heavy in the emotive content.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
That means a lot. That's
yeah.
awesome to hear.
So for you guys on this album, do you have like what song for you guys is right now your favorite, and maybe what song was the most pain in the ass to work on when you were working on this?
Oof.
Resolution was the pain in the ass. I can already tell you.
I agree 100% with that. That song, man. That was like one of the first songs that we recorded, and it was maybe like one of the last ones that we released, for a single. And I think we had it written, right, Josh, like when we were in the studio for Pharaohs, but we never brought it in. It just wasn't ready to record then. But we started writing around New Year's Eve, right?
I think
of
so.
That year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, just something about some of those songs. It's just like they go through a million iterations until you find the right one, and Resolution was definitely, I would say, one of the most challenging ones to get right. Where it is now, I'm pretty stoked on it. But yeah, I would agree. Resolution was definitely most challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite though. Ooh, that's tough. I like a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I would say like I really love Circadian. I think Circadian is probably it's a super sad song, but I think it's a very kind of like as you were saying, Hector, it's very like it really encapsulates like that emotive, heavy emotion. And I think that song is one of those songs where really like
Why were
really
you
tap
sad,
into that.
man?
What's that?
What made you sad?
Well, I mean, it's kind of wild. Like everyone in the band was kind of going through some stuff, and that song's really about like loss and grief. And around that time, I lost a pet that I had for like 14 years, and
Oh wow.
yeah, we adopted her when she was 1, and super close, and we loved. Her name was Bella, our dog Bella, and yeah, that's just kind of where I was. Like, it's something you don't really talk about a lot, but like, you get these dogs, and they're with you through like all your 20s, and they like move with you. They're like in your first place, and they go with you everywhere, and like you get so attached, and they're like your family, and my wife and I, like, we just really like went through it during that time, and there's some other things going on like in my personal life, and yeah, I think that song just like kind of really encapsulated how I was feeling in that moment. And I think everyone, um, I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but I think everyone kind of had something that they needed to channel, and I think that came through in the parts they brought to the table for that song. And I'm really proud of it, and I think it turned out really cool.
Yeah, and that's a very 90s sounding answer, because in the 90s, the artists wrote about like sad stuff, and they wrote about like personal stuff. Where, for example, the 80s, Bret Michaels sung about a stripper being unfaithful to him. And I'm like, dude, she was a stripper.
Yeah, yeah, chill.
There's worse situations.
Yeah,
Chill.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think the 90s, yeah, you definitely guys listen to more of the 90s, because that's more of like the introspection and like personal stuff.
Yeah.
Do you guys do you find it hard like writing more when you're writing songs that are more personal? Is it harder to write a more personal track, that's something that's more like telling a story that doesn't have to do with you?
Hmm. That's a good question, man. I don't know. I feel like sometimes the songs that you're telling a story about, like sometimes they're a little bit easier to like kind of set up. Like you kind of like know where you're starting, you know where you need to be in the middle, and you know where you need to end up. So it's kind of easier to tell the story in that way.
Mhm.
Um, Also, I don't know, like I think it's important to be emotive in your lyrics, but also I don't want it to always be like about me, like I really want to leave I want the listener to be able to feel what it is I'm trying to say, and then they're able to then fill in the gaps with their own personal story. Because I think, you know, like us all being human, right? Like we all have the same emotions, right? We've all felt these things. And I don't know, like if anything, it's kind of like cathartic, I guess, to maybe write from those places, like when I'm going through some stuff and, being able to sing and emote that. But I will say, like, performing them can be a little hard, because to do it, like, in my opinion, to do it authentically, like, you kind of have to go back to that place, and when you go back to that place, all those feelings come back, and those feelings suck, and you don't want to feel them. But I kind of need to go to that place to be able to sing the song and really have those feelings come across. So I would say, like, I don't know, definitely probably easier to do a song like that has more of a story, like Castaway, for example. That's a
Mhm.
song that's about there was this family that was lost at sea, and the way that they survived is they were at they were like in this big boat. The boat like basically crashes, and then this guy gets on this dinghy, and it was a dinghy called the Edna Mayer, and he gets his family and he puts them on this boat, and then they survive. I think it was like a month at sea, and like the way that they survived is like they would collect rainwater in the raft, and then apparently like the mom of the family was a nurse, and she like knew that if and this blew my mind. They had like harpoons with them that they would like, I guess, kill sea turtles with, and they would like drink turtles' blood to find sustenance. And then apparently, you can, I don't want to be gross, but like they were taking like the tubes of the harpoons, and like the way that they were staying hydrated was like they were taking like the rainwater, but this rainwater had like, the gross stuff from the turtles and all that crap, but they were like sticking the tubes up their butts, and then they were like pouring the water down the tube to stay hydrated until they were rescued. And
When
like
this did
they
happen?
did this.
When did this happen?
I can't remember the date, but Google Edna Mayer. It's EDNAMAIR. And in Castaway, like that song is loosely based around that story. And in fact, at the end of the song, like that's one of the lyrics that I'm constantly saying. I'm going like Edna Mayer, like that's in the background, and then it's like whatever it takes, whatever the need, whatever it takes. It's like this.
Hopefully, you left the part about the water in your ass out of
Yes,
out of the
that-
lyrics. Like it would be funny if like water in your ass. No,
Yes, yes.
I just wrote a song with you. That's the
You did.
people like listen like what the hell is this last
I
lyric?
know, man.
Yeah,
You
maybe
guys are awesome.
you could send that lyric maybe to Three Doors Down. Maybe they will put it
Yeah, yeah.
in a new song or
If
something.
I've got water in my ass, what will I do tonight?
You nailed it. You nailed it. You call me hydrated man.
Yes.
I can see the comments, the angry Three Doors Down fans, man. All three of them are all three of them are gonna be mad. Like, how dare you speak illy of Three Doors Down? So, well, that's interesting that you shows that story. And so People Castaway is not about Tom Hanks on an island with a volleyball.
Wilson is not in that. I don't
No,
reference Wilson.
There's no Wilson in this story. So yeah, that's interesting that you get to. There's like stories, but also personal stuff. But yeah, that story. Now people will know the background of that. But
Yeah.
now when I listen to that song, I'm just gonna have the image of
You're
harpoon
welcome.
of the ass in the water.
You're welcome.
So song ruined.
Yes.
But yeah,
I had to tell the story.
Yeah, that's a great story. So, are you guys releasing the album with like a label, or is it like you guys are releasing, or is this like a self-release?
It's a self-release.
It's a self-release.
Yeah, we're putting that ourselves. Yeah, we're trying to, figure out what's right for us as a band and build it, and see where it takes us.
Yeah, just stick that album up everyone's ass.
I guess in some ways.
Yeah,
hopefully they find it in a more enjoyable way than that.
Finally, so I want to show the pre-orders for this. Here we have the pre-order available May 1st, the pre-order. So when is the album coming out? It's gonna be, when does it come out like physically?
So it's going to be out May the 1st is when it's going to be streaming. You can pre-order it now. If you pre-order the album now, you get access to 5 songs early. But like we'll have physical copies. We're doing a CD release show with some good friends of ours on May the 4th in Winchester, Virginia.
May the 4th.
Yeah, exactly. You get the reference. Yes. But yeah, like we're a bunch of nerds in that way, and we want to celebrate and party with our friends. And we have our friends in Breach the Silence. They're opening up the show, and then some good friends that we go way back with. Halford Voices. They're going to be on the bill as well. And yeah, we're just excited to kick the record off, and we will have physical copies of the record at the CD release show.
Nice, and they can get there's the digipack, and
yep.
Here's the artwork, so people can. Let's look at that's the apparition, and yeah, like where did you? Is that like a painting AI? How did you do the cover?
So I work with a good friend of mine, Graveyard Designs in Richmond, Virginia, and I was just hitting him up. I liked some of his artwork, and he was like sending me some ideas, and I was like, that one's pretty cool. That one's pretty cool. And then he had this one that he hadn't really posted yet on his his page or whatever. And he's like, "What do you think of this one?" And I was like, "That's it. That's awesome. That's perfect." So yeah, buddy of mine, Nightmare Design, shout out to them. They made that album cover, and then I did some of the other artwork that you see. Like I could just kind of built off of that idea, and I did the layout and everything for the record. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was just
awesome.
the design.
Plus, and the you can get the limited shirt too as well. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. So yeah, I really like when you guys release Pharaoh. So I'm like, yeah, this is cool music. Like I could see you guys like meshing well with some other type of bands. Like I could see you like it would be. I love a band like Chevelle. Like that, it would be cool to open for
Yeah,
Chevelle.
We've heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be awesome. Chevelle, if you're listening, let's do a tour.
Yes, and also Chabelle, if you're listening, I would love to interview Chabelle. I know
Yeah,
I'm not a WK rock radio or anything, but yeah, I would love to talk to Chabelle on the couch. Yeah, great.
yeah,
And you know, when I talk to musicians, I always like to ask them like, what current stuff are you like listening to now, if anything, besides obviously your music?
yeah. Yeah, I listen to. I mean, I'm really loving bands right now. I'm really loving a band called Fleshwater, Drug Church, Narrowhead.
Oh,
Um,
Narrowhead, Drug Church. Listen to both great. Yeah,
nice.
I haven't
And
listened
then
to
I'm
that
really,
one.
yeah. Check out Fleshwater. Have
I,
you listened to them yet?
no, I haven't listened to Fleshwater.
Yeah, they're sick. They're awesome. I'm also like I really love like synthwave music. I mean, obviously you can tell the Neon Sun. I just love that vibe that synthwave has, and I've been really loving this band called Moxie, the band, and
Okay.
they're really awesome. And I think they're out of Sacramento, and just really cool like synth kind of pop, and just the vocalist is amazing. The production is great. There's just a few bands I've listened to recently. Brutus from Belgium, they're freaking
Oh,
amazing.
great band. And
Love Brutus.
the drummer and the singers the
Stephanie.
woman. Yeah, yeah, she's great.
Yeah, yeah, I got to see them right before I guess COVID happened at the Milk Boy in Philadelphia, and I was like maybe like a foot from Stephanie while during their set, and I was just like, man, this band is amazing. Brutus is probably one of my favorite bands right now. Like they're so
Oh,
great, and songs are awesome, like. And then I think that something that really appeals to me about Brutus in particular is just how authentic and genuine they seem when they speak about their art. I feel like
oh yeah.
that's so
Great
cool.
band. Oh, their last albums, Nest and the last one, great
Yeah,
album. And her vocals are like she screams, but she screams in a way like you can feel her pain. Great
yeah,
stuff.
it's like a war cry. Like it's
Yeah.
just beautiful.
Yeah. So what about you, Josh?
Honestly, I lately have been listening to a lot of country, kind
Oh,
of on the other spectrum. But I do listen to everything, like Luke said, a lot of synthwave, like Gunship and stuff like that. He turned me on to Gunship. Thanks for that, Luke.
yeah.
Um, but Brittany's my wife, Brittany. She's kind of had this little playlist going, and we just let Spotify kind of take over, and it's been some really good country, not like radio country, like that pop hip hop stuff, like true country. So I've kind of been on a country kick.
Oh, okay. Nice. No, nice, man. Yeah. I gotta get I gotta get more into country music. I tried listening to it, but maybe I'm from an island, so maybe we call it different here. But yeah. So guys, it's been great chatting with you. I'll post where can people follow the band so they can know more about the shows and everything?
Yeah, best place is just check out our website, cursorofficial.com. You can follow us on Instagram, cursor_VA, or you can check us out on Facebook as well. I would just start Instagram. Once you get to Instagram, we have in our link in our bio, we have our link tree, and then we've got everything that's all in one spot. So yeah, Instagram, cursor_VA. That'll get you to us. And yeah,
Nice. So
it's pretty
anything
straightforward.
you would like to say to the fans before we go tonight?
Yeah, I would just, thank you, Hector, for having us, man. I appreciate what you do for music, and sitting down and talking with artists, and and welcoming us into your home. We appreciate you, man. anyone that's taken the time to check out Cursor's music, thank you, appreciate you, and I hope you love Apparitions.
Nice. So people, Cursor Operations out May May the 3rd or and
May 1st.
May 1st, but they will
Yep.
be playing May the 4th.
May the 4th.
Check it out. I'll put the links for everyone. So I would recommend this to people who like, alternative rock bands, like all the bands that we've been mentioning. If you like alternative rock with feeling and songs about like feelings and true stuff, and if and if you've been cast away, then at sea, that there's a song for you on the album as well.
Yes.
That you
There's a
guys
story
can-
to be told.
There's a story to be told. You should make a music video for that one.
I'd be into that. I think it'd be cool. I love that song. I think the way it turned out is really sick.
Well, the story is bizarre, but like what I get from that story is like human beings will do anything to survive on extreme situations. Like it's either that
You're right.
or dying. Like you have to.
You're right.
You have
Right.
to choose. Like
Yeah.
for example, like if you are going on a plane over the Andes and you're scared, just rent alive.
Right. You're right.
And
You're
get
right.
over your fear.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too, like, in that particular story, there's the other element too, where it was like they were with their children, so
Yeah.
that song kind of comes from that perspective too, like, whatever it takes, whatever they need,
To
like
save the
I got
children.
I got a family to feed, like it was kind of one of those things, because I think, yeah, we have this innate will to survive, but then I think too, when you're a parent, maybe sometimes that can be kind of hard, right? Like, do I look out for me, or do I look out for my kids?
No,
So,
once you become a parent, well, if you're a good parent, the kids, you have to take care of the kids. It's a
they
thing
come first.
you have to do. So yeah, I think anyone can relate. It's a relatable story and of survival.
sure.
Yeah, it's good that you told me that story, because that substance in music that sometimes that's lacking a lot in pop music, where it's all about like stupid things like how big your butt is and stuff like that. Like when you have songs that are about true stuff. So again, Luke and Josh, I want to thank you for taking some time of your night to join me virtually here on the couch. It's been a pleasure, and I really enjoyed the record. So people, listen to Cursor. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.
Later.